Hello. In this video, we're going to go ahead and start solving some radical equations. The first radical equation that we're going to look at is the following equation: x minus the square root of 3x plus 18 equals 0. So the first step is going to be to get the radical completely by itself on one side. Notice that there's just a single radical here, and I want to get it by itself, so I'm going to go ahead and add it from one side to the other. So I'm going to add the square root of the square root of 3x plus 18 to both sides. Now notice that if you're moving a single term from one side to the other, you always have to add or subtract. So what I'm left with on the left-hand side is just x, and on the right-hand side I'm left with the square root of 3x plus 18. And then from there, you realize that since the radical's by itself, you're going to take both sides to the power of the index. There's an understood 2 for the index. That means that we're going to square both sides. And here's something very important. The square root of a squared is a, no matter what a is. So this square root and the square effectively cancel each other. And on the left-hand side, we have x squared. But on the right-hand side, we have 3x plus 18. Then we move everything to the left and solve. This is just a quadratic equation at this point. So subtract the 3x, subtract the 18, and there you go. Now we have x squared minus 3x minus 18 equals 0. And then we just solve this any way we can. In this case, it's actually pretty easy to go ahead and factor this. This is minus, which tells us that one's plus, one's minus. What multiplies to 18 and has a difference of 3? Well, that's 6 and 3. And if you need to, just do this where one's negative and one's positive. Notice that we need it to have a difference of 3, but it's a negative 3, so 3 minus 6 is going to be negative 3, which means the 6 has to be negative, and the 3 has to be positive. Set each factor equal to 0, and solve. Fantastic. What we've just done is we have just solved the quadratic equation. It is not the solution of the original equation necessarily. They may be, and it may be that only one of them is the solution, or it may be that neither of those are a solution, which in that case would mean that we would have no solution. But because we don't know yet, that means that we need to actually check these. So the next step is going to be to check. Starting out with the negative 3, plug that negative 3 in. We get negative 3 minus the square root of 3 times negative 3 plus 18 equals 0. And then simplify. You can just type this in on the left-hand side if you want. But 3 times negative 3 is negative 9, plus 18 is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So negative 3 minus, and then the square root of 9 was 3, equals 0. But negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. So if you were to type this into the original equation, you would just get negative 6 out of all that. But notice that negative 6 does not equal 0, which tells me that, that negative 3 is not a solution of the original. Next, let's look at x equals 6. Plug in the negative 3, plug in the 6. That means that we're going to have 6 minus the square root of 3 times 6 plus 18 equals 0. And then we solve, or we simplify. 3 times 6 is 18. 18 plus 18 is 36. Square root of 36 is 6. So this gives us 6 minus 6 equals 0. And notice that 6 minus 6 is 0, so we get 0 equals 0, and that is what we call an identity. Therefore, yes, this is, in fact, the solution to the original equation. In other words, we have a solution here, and that solution is 6. Awesome. Well, I believe that's it for this video. I will see you in the next one. Have fun.